not that unbelievable of a story, but it's pretty funny. Hey, is this summer or what, baby? It is late July, Friday afternoon, commute home, about 90 degrees, on the bike. So 4 years ago at this time, I was taking my MSF class and scouring the internet trying to find my first motorcycle. So I got to tell you a little bit about that, which will lead into the actual story I want to tell. So at first I thought I wanted a Dyna, a lowrider, or something like that, maybe a Super Glide custom. Those were pricey. It was my first bike. They're probably a little too big. So I readjusted to the Sportster 1200. I was looking at a number of those in different places. I couldn't really find one that had all the boxes checked for what I was looking for. So it ended up, it was a Saturday afternoon, the day before my final MSF session. I was pounding the web again. I was on Craigslist and I see this listing for a bike. I'm like, I think I looked at this one before, and I looked at it again. Part of the problem is the pictures are the size of postage stamps. If you're selling something online, big pictures, lots of them. I mean, that's what sells. That's what people want to see. It doesn't cost you anything. So I'm squinting, looking at these pictures. I'm like, I think this might work, So I call a guy up, Brett, and he was available. The bike, he still had it. So I set the time for the next day to go see it. So the next morning, I went to my MSF class, did the riding range test, passed it. In Pennsylvania, they give you your paperwork right there. I was officially licensed to ride a motorcycle. The bike was 110 miles away. I jumped in my car and drove down there. I hate doing vlogs when I'm sitting in traffic, so I'll catch you on the other side of this. Alright, so I drove down to this little town called Fleetwood. Lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, and there's so many little towns I've never heard of. So I get down there, and I will never forget when he started up that bike and rolled it out of his garage, man. Over the top in love with this bike. Deep cobalt blue and silver metallic something or other. Just awesome looking in the sun. The pipes sounded glorious. Well, that was it, man. I was like, this is it. This is the bike. So I gave him a deposit. I said I'll be back on Wednesday. And you talk about the 3 longest days of my life, man. Waiting for the chance to get out and get that bike. I needed a couple days to get my insurance, paperwork, fundage, all that stuff. But I also had a friend, my friend Frank, who was going to ride it home for me. Because I wasn't ready to jump on a bike and ride 100 miles back home. I definitely wasn't ready for that yet. So I get home Sunday night. If I got 2 hours of sleep that night, it's a miracle. I mean, I just couldn't shut my brain off, So excited about finally getting a motorcycle. And then the next day I go to work and I'm trashed, man. I'm so tired. And then that night, I think maybe I got 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And I get to work Tuesday and I'm just, so tired. So by the time Tuesday night came around, man, I was like, if I don't get a good night's sleep, I ain't gonna make it tomorrow. So fortunately, I think exhaustion took over and I just passed out. So I got a good night rest. Frank and I headed down to Fleetwood and we were out of there, you know, pretty quick. There were two things with the bike. One is it needed tires. It still had the original tires from 2007 according to the date code. The bike only had like 5,900 miles on it, but the back tire was worn down below the wear bars. You could barely see the tread pattern. And this previous owner, he was a big boy. So yeah, that tire was done. And the front, you know, a 2007 in 2015, so you're talking 8 years old, well beyond the recommended lifespan of a tire, so I had some concerns. And the other thing is, it needed an inspection. This guy didn't really put anything into it, he just wanted to get rid of it, you know, so whatever. Bought the bike, got it home. So I spent the next week, I guess, riding around in my private community every night after work, and just each time out getting a little more comfortable, learning how to ride. And I did take my first trip out on public roads to get gas. You know, that was inevitable because the little low fuel light came on. But I needed to get those tires and I needed to get it inspected, so I made an appointment, took a day off work, and this was my first trip out, for my first real trip. And this is the story that is kind of funny. So I was taking a route down to Stroudsburg, PA. I decided to take Route 209, which I've been on a zillion times. 209 runs along the Delaware River, and it goes through about a 20-mile section they call Delaware State Forest, which I believe is part of the National Park System. It's one of those low-speed, lots of wildlife kind of places, no commercial vehicles, so it seemed like a nice, easy ride since I was just getting my sea legs. And this was the first time I think I was actually taking this road during morning rush hour. So no sooner did I get on 209 and I start hitting fog, and the fog's getting thicker and the visibility's getting lower, and I had possibly had my face shield just cracked at the bottom. I closed that, but that didn't make any difference. And being inexperienced, not really having ever done anything like this, I just assumed the inside of the face shield was fogging up. So it was getting really bad, and the thicker it got and the harder it was to see, the slower I was going, and I could see like a procession of headlights in my rear side view mirrors. You know, these guys weren't happy. I'm probably not even doing 20 miles an hour. And so finally I'm like, I can't see. I mean, I can't see more than 5 feet in front of me. So I flip open my face shield and it's like, oh, I can see again. You know, it's still horribly thick fog. It's basically a cloud on land that I'm riding through. So flipping open that face shield solved the problem for about 30 seconds. Since I wear eyeglasses, they immediately beat it up with moisture, and now I really couldn't see. So I was in trouble. Now you might be thinking, well, why don't you just pull over? Well, do you see the shoulder on this road? Because that's about the size of the shoulder on 209. Plus, it drops off like a curb. And there aren't a lot of roads to turn onto. I knew there were a couple of spots where there was like a little clear area with just cinders and gravel, maybe about the size of 2 or 3 cars. So at that point, I was like, I gotta get to one of those and get off of this road. So I probably had my flashers on at this point. I'm probably creeping along at 15 miles an hour. I got all these cars behind me. I can't see, and I'm just like barely following the white line. And finally, I see one of these little spots. So I just kind of blip the throttle, go flying off like a 6-inch drop. Ba-boom! You know, I land in this gravel, hit the brakes, kill the engine. The cars go by, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? So fortunately, I had some napkins or paper towels, and I dried off all my stuff, my glasses. And, you know, at this point, I think I realized what I should have done was kept my face shield completely closed and just used my glove to wipe away water off the outside of it. But like I said, you know, I've never worn a helmet before other than, you know, 15-minute stints on a sunny evening in my community, so I didn't know what was going on. So I got all back together, got on the bike. I went through about 5 more miles of fog, and finally you come out and it's like the angels are singing, you know, the sun's out, the sky is blue, there's not a cloud in sight, it's warm, and I come rolling into the dealership and I look like I just went through a car wash, you know, I'm soaked. My bike's got beads of water dripping off of the mirrors and the gas tank, and I come walking up to the entrance of the service department. There's a few people in line, they weren't open yet. They turned and looked at me, man. They gave me that head to toe look like, what the heck happened to you, you know? So I told them the story and they just started laughing, you know. I was laughing too. That was my crazy first ride out, you know, gonna be a great day, and no sooner was I underway and it was like on another planet as far as riding conditions. But that aside, it was such a cool day. I took this picture of my bike parked in line with all the other bikes at the service department. It's like, this is my bike. I mean, like pinching myself. And I got 2 brand new tires. They really took care of me. You know, it was expensive, but not abusively expensive. And then when they got done, away I rode, and I just took my time, took the long way home, as they say. And that's kind of become like a summer ritual for me, is take a day off, go down, get my inspection, and then just have a nice extended ride day. And I just did that a few days ago. I wanted to make a vlog and tell the story while I was actually headed down there, but it didn't come out so good and needed a redo. So I waited so long for summer. It's hard to believe it's July 26th, but there's still plenty of summer left. My bike is inspected, has new American Elite tires. I don't have any maintenance on the horizon. So I'm just going to enjoy riding and hope that it stays nice, mild, and dry for for as long as possible. So that was my story. Thank you, Jim Croce, for the intro and outro music. I miss that guy. Have a good rest of the summer, guys. Until next time.